By Daisy Rivera. Last week was a busy one for Robert Parkman. The painter was out and about at both BKF and CVC openings of his latest exhibition, attending cocktail receptions and courting the press, as well as discussing his latest works with fans old and new. "I'm nervous, of course," he told me over breakfast in his favorite BKF diner. He told me he was contemplating a trip on his family's yacht later that day. "I miss the bluff and the point," he smiled. "I've always felt myself drawn to and inspired by the ocean. I'm excited to see the responses to my work," he added. Ostensibly the focus of his practice, his paintings seem engineered to elicit response and have done so since Parkman graduated from BKFU's Fine Arts program and introduced the art world to his aesthetic. There's a painting called Friends Picnic currently at Jecka Gallery in CVC, comprising of a fiery red sky set to a lush green grass while a man eats severed body parts of the other guest who is reaching for the amputated limb. This is typical of Parkman's work, interpreted as gory, dark and disturbing, although others suspect a political statement. When questioned who the people represent, "Me and my friend Chad," he deadpans. The Courier and Ives' simplicity invokes little more than a glance, as prolific as they are, and except for the bold color one's eyes would merely glide by, mistaking it for yet another Victorian picnic painting adorning the walls of any hotel or public area. Having debuted at BKF Midtown Gallery last year in a show called Master Cleanse, a phrase that alludes to a diet involving nothing but juices and water, Friends Picnic embodies Parkman's talent for distilling traditional East Coast pastoral scenes and its convergence with the current violence, present in many areas, into a singular image. A year of continued spikes of violent crime within BKF and CVC, Parkman's work remains loaded with the city's problems at that point in time, but, in being presented at the minute, invokes questions of how nothing has improved. While the acidity of his satire has never wavered, Parkman's developed a distinct visual language. Figures are dressed in Victorian garb, but they've been abstracted into an erratic cacophony. Beyond the trees or blue skies of their surroundings, one can see skyscrapers and cranes, finding a modern touchstone in the Victorian idealism. While the frequent use of red, black and distorted faces elicit comparisons to Francis Bacon, Parkman has pointed to the landscapes of George Inness as a point of inspiration for his works, as well as the obvious comparisons to Goya's Quinta del Sordo and black paintings. Goya feared he was being consumed by madness and was dismayed by what he perceived to be a return to the medieval times, Parkman states. "The recent reinstating of the death penalty has made me question if we're also recessing," he muses. Jordan Dean, who commissioned Parkman to paint a mural on the side of her gallery 3 years ago, and whose gallery is currently hosting Unseen, a show of Parkman's works that she curated, compares his improvisational skills to those of Ken Harvey. Rather than plan ahead, Parkman works intuitively, mapping his work as he's painting. Robert has this ability to take a visual concept, expand it to mural size, and execute it perfectly. "It's incredible to see him work," she says. "It reminds me of a skill Harvey had, to lose himself in the work completely but to also get everything right." Parkman takes the comparison as an utmost compliment. Harvey was universally loved, widely spreading his art in the form of murals in neglected public areas. Wanting to appeal a broader audience himself, Parkman insists there are no inherent political bias embedded into his paintings, or at least, he refuses to share them. "I would see how certain people would react to paintings that were clearly about class, and how they would shy away from that because they don't consider themselves part of that class," he says, with an open admission that he obfuscates his work's true meaning. However, he claims that ambiguity gives the viewer options. The beauty is that anyone can read them however they like. Where similar styles of art can teeter aggressively into overt, one-dimensional statements, Parkman remains mutable. As a rule, his paintings remain inscrutable, but one of the few exceptions was a body of work called Dinner with the Family, featuring a clear condemnation of class politics. It prompted headlines aligning his work with exactly the kind of pigeonholing he had wanted to avoid. Withholding the painting's meaning, however, is what asks you to spend time with them. "People are sometimes put out because I can't give them a specific meaning, but that's not how I am," he adds. "My aim is to present your assumptions back to you so you can digest it. For better or for worse." The familiarity of the imagery, however, makes it easier to swallow. Friends Picnic is on view at the Garland exhibition of contemporary art throughout January.